What the heck going on, man? You right where you need to be with Spilly G. I ain't gonna talk to y'all too long, man. I'm just make sure it come across real strong. Now look though, man, they done sentenced Tory Lanez 10 years. Man, he said throw the book at him, man. And that's what they did. So sad, man. I ain't gonna even say it's sad if he shot her for real, but her going extra little hard. I was watching another reaction. They was like, man, come on, you didn't have to go that hard. You're supposed to be the ghetto princess and not. But anyway, I get it. Don't shoot women. I'm not for that at all, man. Do not shoot women. Let's get straight to this reaction. I ain't gonna talk too long because I know y'all don't want to hear my mouth. Let's get it.
Today, we're here to talk about Daystar Peterson, also known as Tony Lanez, who was sentenced to 10 years in prison for the July 12, 2020 attack on Megan Pete, also known as Megan Thee Stallion. Over the past 3 years, Mr. Peterson has engaged in a pattern of conduct that was intended to intimidate Ms. Pete, silence her, and keep her from defending and bringing her truth out. Despite the physical violence, verbal attacks, and attempts at public humiliation, Ms. Pete remained strong and shared the events of that fateful night with the jury and the world. The fact that Ms. Pete is a successful entertainer has brought a spotlight on the important issue of violence against women. There are many people in our community that endure acts of violence every day from people close to them and feel reluctant to come forward when this happens. I hope that Ms. Pete's bravery gives hope to those that feel helpless. In fact, today, as sentencing through her statement, and yesterday, Ms. Pete thought of others who have been similarly situated, and I'm going to read a portion of the statement that she made to the court, because I think it drives home what she has endured and what she's trying to do. And I say on quotes, "Every day I think of others across the world who are victims of violence and survive. It is truly the most powerless feeling, especially when you question whether the justice system can truly protect you. Fortunately, the district attorney's office fought for me. I'm incredibly grateful to them and the jury for the attention to the evidence and siding with the truth. But it can happen. If it can happen to me, imagine those who lack the resources and support systems to help them." Unquote. I want to assure all the victims of crime and members of our community and support them in their journey to healing. I'd like to thank the jury for their time and for critically and objectively viewing the evidence in this case. Jurors played I also like to thank the Los Angeles Police Department for a thorough investigation and process. Attorneys Kathy Ta and Alex Bott, who are here to my right, your left, they made tremendous sacrifices and endure attacks that they shouldn't have to. They were attacked in social media. Their integrity was questioned with lies, much the same way that in this case the defendant attacked the victim and tried to victim blame. Despite all of this, they remain professional, worked tirelessly to litigate this case under intense scrutiny. I also want to thank the rest of our team, our investigators, victim services, so many others. They had to work so hard in order to bring this case together. But as I was telling our attorneys earlier today, at the end of the day, the team is only as good as the people that are on the front, and it was you guys who were at the tip of the spear, and we appreciate what you did. I'm going to say a few words in Spanish very quickly. We'll have others speak, and then we'll answer any questions that you may have. Buenas tardes. Hoy estamos aquí para hablar del caso del señor.
All right, you're continuing to listen in live here from Los Angeles as we're hearing from officials following the sentencing of Tory Lanez, who received 10 years in prison for shooting Megan Thee Stallion. Now, a jury found Lanez, whose full name is Daystar Peterson, guilty of 3 felony charges in December after the rapper shot and wounded Megan Thee Stallion in 2020. The charges included assault with a semi-automatic firearm, having a loaded unregistered firearm in a vehicle, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence. Prosecutors initially had requested that he receive 13 years behind bars. The Canada Natives legal team requested that he should only get probation and be released from jail to enter a residential substance abuse program. They also plan to appeal his conviction. Megan testified during the trial that Lanez had fired the gun at the back of her feet and shouted for her to dance as she walked away from an SUV in which they had been riding in back in the summer of 2020. The pair had left a party at Kylie Jenner's Hollywood Hills home. The judge said it was difficult to reconcile the kind, charitable person and good father that many people described Lanez as being during the sentencing hearing with the person who fired the gun at Megan. Judge going on even to say sometimes good people do bad things, that actions have consequences, and there are no winners in this case. So we're hearing from officials here. Just wanted to give a little background as we continue listening in. They're recapping some of this in Spanish. Let's continue listening in here, though, live on Live Now from Fox.
Son otras personas en todo el mundo que son víctimas de violencia y sobreviven. Es realmente una sensación de impotencia, especialmente cuando cuestionas si el sistema de justicia puede protegerte realmente.
Okay, you can see we're still getting a recap here in Spanish. So for viewers who are just joining us, and we know that this could be a whole new group of viewers that are tuning in right now, let's just recap again what we know. Let's actually bring you a couple of tweets as we wait for that recap in Spanish to be over. This is from reporter Megan Cuniff. It's a series of tweets. Let's go through them. She first tweeted out Tory Lanez has been sentenced to 10 years in prison for shooting Megan Thee Stallion. She then went on to say and discuss some of the things that Tory had actually said in court during his sentencing today. That included this, that he spoke for several minutes. He said he still cares about Megan. He called her someone that he still cares for dearly to this day, regardless of what she may think of him. He also said that Megan's his friend. He talked about bonding with her over the loss of their mothers. And reporter Megan Cuniff continues here by quoting Tory Lanez, saying, "We both lost our mothers. We would sit there and drink until we got numb," referring to a conversation and things that had happened in the past with Megan. And then when referencing the shooting, reporter Megan Cuniff here quoting Lanez again, saying, "I said some very immature things that I shouldn't have said. I revealed some secrets I shouldn't have revealed." And I believe there might be another tweet as well. That might be the last of it. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of a recap there in court today. And again, if you are just joining us, the background here, Tory Lanez, rapper, many people know and have followed this case closely. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison today after 2-day sentencing. Okay, it looks like that Spanish portion has wrapped up. Let's continue with listening in live here to this news conference from Los Angeles.
I want to express my sincere condolences to the victim for the pain and the trauma that she has had to experience over the past few years. At the Bureau of Victim Services, we are dedicated to helping victims reclaim their voice, advocate for themselves, and find their path to healing and wholeness. Violence against Black women and girls is a long-standing national epidemic that has long been overlooked and underreported. Women of color, more times than not, do not come forward to report victimization due to the fear that they will not be believed. Women of color are also more likely to be victim blamed and shamed for their experiences, especially in high-profile trials involving violence against women, which further traumatizes the victim and prevents their voice from being heard. No victim should ever have to feel belittled or attacked or dragged through social media because they were brave enough to step forward and report their abuse. Deserve a right to be vulnerable and to speak their truth. Women of color deserve the right to seek, to be taken seriously, to be protected, and also be free from violence and harm and the countless barriers that prevents women from reporting incidents of violence in the first place. Women of color also deserve specific and concrete solutions that will contribute to the decrease in incidents of gender-based violence. For anyone who has survived violence, please know that your feelings are valid and you matter. I want to personally let all victims out there know that you have a right to report any type of crime. You have a right to seek the support from our office. And even if you do not wish to go through the legal process, you are still entitled to receiving victim services in a safe and non-judgmental and trauma-informed environment. Our office will continue supporting victims. We are always ready and here to support any victims that need support and resources. Our number is 1-800-380-3811. Thank you.
Alex.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex Bott. I'm one of the deputy district attorneys who prosecuted this case, along with my colleague, Kathy Taw. Today, the judge sentenced the defendant, Tory Lanez, to 10 years in state prison. And my first thought was, I was thrilled for Megan. This has been a long and hard road for her. Not only did the defendant do the heinous act of shooting her, he then subjected her to 2.5 years of hell. He intimidated her. He harassed her. Nevertheless, in the face of all of that abuse and vitriol, Megan showed the courage to come forward and speak her truth. And today's sentence is justice for Megan. It also sends a message to the defendant that actions have consequences. Now, I prosecute cases of domestic violence, and all too often we have victims that are too afraid, too ashamed, or too embarrassed to come forward and speak their truth about the abuse they suffered. I hope that future victims can look to Megan and her courage and also find the courage to come forward and get the justice that they deserve.
Kathy, you want to say a few words, Kathy?
I've had this case for 3 years, and I can tell you I've seen the transformative impact it's had on Megan, and I've seen the trauma she's undergone in the last 3 years, and I am incredibly relieved on her behalf. I thank the jurors because it was really difficult to sit through a case like this under the scrutiny that they faced. I thank all the parties that assisted in this case. This was actually a team effort. We had the Bureau investigation help us, members of the Family Violence Unit, victim advocates. This is not something we could have done on our own. But ultimately, I thank Megan. I know we've talked a lot about her bravery and courage. The power that it must have taken someone with that level of willingness to come forward after being vilified online did to court and face your accuser, and to sit there and relive and re-experience your trauma all over again. That is not easy. So I thank you very much for her being there, for her sticking this out. I hope that this brings her some level of closure, and that from here on out, this is another chapter she can move away from and she can start rebuilding. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Are there any questions from anyone? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your patience.
All right, you were just listening in there to that update out of Los Angeles, California. If you're just joining us here, Tory Lanez has been sentenced to 10 years in prison today. A jury found him, whose full name is Daystar Peterson, guilty of 3 felony charges after the rapper shot and wounded Megan Thee Stallion in 2020. The charges included assault with a semi-automatic firearm, having a loaded, unregistered firearm in a vehicle, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence. Prosecutors initially had actually requested a longer sentence of 13 years behind bars, while the Canada's natives legal team had requested that he should only get probation and be released from jail to enter a residential substance abuse program. They also say that they plan to appeal this conviction. Megan had testified during the trial that Lanez had fired the gun at the back of her feet and shouted for her to dance as she walked away from an SUV in which they had been riding in back in the summer of 2020. The two of them had left a party at Kylie Jenner's Hollywood Hills home. The judge said it was difficult to reconcile the kind and charitable person and the good father that many had described Lanez as during the sentencing hearing with the person who fired the gun at Megan. We also heard from officials there on Megan's team talking.
Okay, y'all. Okay. So there y'all go, man. Y'all have it, man. Megan wanted that ass and she got it. But, you know, he shouldn't have shot her, man. You know, that's the fact, because I don't want no harm coming to women, you know, but, you know, there is some women out there who try to do manly stuff. Don't deal with men on that level. Just be a woman, call the police, call your brothers. It's okay. You don't have to be gangster. But, you know, if he did do that good job for Megan, man, you know, y'all like, subscribe, and we out. You did.